Hopefully it doesn't skip this time. Third time's the charm, right? Welcome, radio fans. Big Al here, and today we continue our series on AM and FM radio stations from across the country, and our focus is on Beantown, Boston, Massachusetts, home of Aerosmith, the Red Sox, Harvard, the Wahlbergs. I can go on, but I won't. But what I will tell you is all the AM and FM stations across the greater Boston area, as well as nearby Worcester. I was about to include the Cape Cod stations, but I left them off of this list. I will be doing a video on them, a separate one, in the coming weeks, so watch out for that. So that's going to be a continuation to this one. Alright, so enough of me hammering on. Let's get on to this right now. Starting on the AM side of the dial is one of those Worcester stations, 580 WTAG Worcester, News Radio 580, 94.9 WTAG, Worcester's news, weather, and traffic station. This is a news talk station with news updates from Fox News Radio, programming from Premier Radio Networks, the Blaze Network, and they also air Worcester Bravehearts minor league baseball on this station. They are owned by iHeartMedia, and they operate an FM transmitter on 94.9 FM, W235AV, Tatnuck, Massachusetts. 590 is WEZE, Boston. 590 AM, The Word, Boston's Christian Talk. This is a Christian talk and teaching station with programming from the Salem Radio Network. They're obviously owned by the Salem Media Group, and this is the previous home of WEEI AM, more on where they landed shortly. 650 is WSRO, Ashland, Massachusetts. Rede ABR. This is a Portuguese radio station owned by Langer Broadcasting Group, LLC. They operate a translator station in Framingham at 102.1 W271CU. 680 is WRKO Boston. WRKO AM 680, the voice of Boston. This is a talk station with news updates from ABC News and programming from iHeartRadio, Premier Radio Networks, Westwood One, and the Total Traffic and Weather Network. They're owned by iHeartMedia and is repeated on sister station WZLX 100.7 FM HD2 in Boston. 740 WJIB Cambridge. 740 and 101.3 WJIB, Boston's Memory Station. They play adult standards and pop music from the 50s and 60s. They're owned by Bob Bittner Broadcasting Incorporated and operates an FM translator station in Cambridge on 101.3 W267CE. 760 is WVNE Leicester, Massachusetts, Life-Changing Radio. This is a Christian radio format with programming from the Salem Radio Network. They are owned by Blount Masscom Incorporated, and they operate an FM translator station at 101.5 W268CQ, Leicester, Massachusetts. 760 is a daytime only station, so the FM translator allows their programming to air all the time. 800 broadcasted in high definition, and this is one of just two Boston area radio stations this is one of two Boston area radio stations on AM that broadcast in high definition. WNNW Lawrence. Power 800 AM and 102.9 FM. Donde está tu música? Translated in English to Where is your music? This is a Spanish tropical station owned by Costa Eagle Radio Ventures LP. They operate a translator station in Lawrence on 102.9 W275BM. 830 WCRN Worcester. 830 WCRN Full Service Radio. This is a news talk station with news updates and programming from Westwood One. They are owned by Carter Broadcasting, not to be confused with the Carter Broadcast Group, which is a minority-owned radio company in Kansas City, Missouri. 850 is where WEEI Boston currently resides. They're known simply as ESPN on WEEI. This makes them the Boston affiliate of ESPN Radio. They air the entire national schedule for that network. They're owned by Entercom, which also owns sister station WEEI FM 93.7 in Lawrence, which broadcasts locally produced sports talk and play-by-play. Now, this station signed on as WHDH in 1929. And WHDH was on the air until 1994, and this was the previous flagship station of the Boston Red Sox. 890 WAMG Dedham La Mega 94.9. The force that moves you. That's their slogan in English. I'm not even going to attempt to tell you their slogan in Spanish. This is a Spanish tropical station, and they are the Spanish flagship station of the New England Revolution, the MLS team in Boston. They, of course, play at Gillette Stadium, home of the New England Patriots, in Foxborough. WAMG is owned by Gois Broadcasting Boston LLC and is repeated on WLLH 1400 AM, which is licensed to both Lowell and Lawrence, Massachusetts. A couple of North Shore suburbs. They also operate an FM translator station in Dedham on 94.9 W235CS. 940 WGFP Webster. This is in the Worcester area. They're known as the Late 940, Webster's local radio station. It is owned by Just Because Incorporated, and they play classic hits. 950 is WROL Boston. AM 950 WROL, the Spirit of Boston. They air religious talk most of the time, and they also play Irish music, programming supplied by the Salem Radio Network. WROL is owned by Salem Media Group, and they operate a translator station in Boston at 100.3 FM W262CV. 960 WFGL Fitchburg, Massachusetts. Renew 960. Be renewed. This is a Christian radio station with programming from Renew FM, owned by Horizon Christian Fellowship. WFGL also operates a translator station in Fitchburg at 106.1 W291DA. 970 is WESO Southbridge. Emmanuel Radio 970 AM, Truth for Life. This is a Catholic radio station with programming from EWTN Radio. They are owned by Emmanuel Communications Incorporated. 980 is WCAP Lowell. 980 WCAP, the voice of the valley, and their secondary slogan is Everybody Gets It. This is a talk radio and oldies music hybrid station with news updates from Westwood One News. WCAP is owned by Merrimack Valley Radio LLC. 1000 is WCMX, Leominster, Massachusetts. The Power AM 1000. This is Christian radio with programming from Salem Radio Network. They're owned by Twin City Baptist Temple Incorporated, and they are a daytime only station required by the FCC to sign off the air at local sunset. 1030 is the second of the two Boston area AM stations broadcasting in HD, and that's WBZ Boston. WBZ News Radio 1030. Their main slogan is Boston's News Radio. They also use the News Watch Never Stops part of the time as their slogan. This is a news and talk station with news updates from CBS News, NBC News, ABC News, CNN Radio, Westwood One Radio, and AP Radio. That's the Associated Press. Previously owned by CBS, it is currently owned by iHeartMedia and is repeated on sister station WXKS 107.9 FM HD2 Medford. Now again, this station, the radio station, both AM and FM were owned by CBS. WBZ has a strong relationship with CBS and has since 1995, since WBZ Television Channel 4 is the CBS owned and operated station in Boston. So there's that. 1060 WQOM Natick, AM 1060 WQOM, the Station of the Cross. This is a Catholic religious station with programming from EWTN Radio. They're owned by Holy Family Communications. 1120 WBNW, Concord, Massachusetts. Money Matters Radio. This is a business talk station with news and programming from Westwood One. They're owned by Money Matters Radio Incorporated and operates a translator in Concord on 102.9 W275 CM. 1150 is WWDJ Boston. This is the Boston affiliate of Relevant Radio. This is a Catholic talk station, of course, with programming from Relevant Radio. They are owned by Immaculate Heart Media Incorporated. 1200 is WXKS AM, Newton, Massachusetts. Talk 1200, Boston's conservative talk. So as you can tell by the slogan, they are a conservative talk station with hourly news updates from Fox News Radio and programming from both Westwood One and Premier Radio Networks, plus additional sports programming from Fox Sports Radio, which I think they air during the weekends. WXKS is owned by iHeartMedia. There is one station I forgot to mention. I'll go ahead and get that out the way now, and that's 1090 WILD Boston, known as WILD AM 1090, which is now a Chinese radio station owned by Radio Boston Broadcasting Incorporated. This is a daytime only station. Now, WILD has served the African American community in Boston for about 4 decades, up until I want to say 2011 or 2012. I'll have to read up on it again. But this was a station aimed at the African American audience in Boston for about 40 years until they switched to the current Chinese radio format. All right, 1230 WESX Nahant, Massachusetts. WESX 1230. This is a religious ethnic station owned by Real Media Group LLC. And there's another station on 1230 in the Boston area, and that's WNEB Worcester, Emmanuel Radio 1230 AM, Truth for Life. Now this is the same format as 970. It is a Catholic radio station with programming from EWTN Radio. They too are owned by Emmanuel Communications Incorporated. So 1230 and 970 pretty much airs the same programming, but they are two separate stations. This is not a simulcast in any sense of the word. 1260 is WBIX Boston. 1260 NASA Radio USA. This is a Portuguese station, and this is the second Portuguese station that shows up in Boston. This one is owned by the International Church of the Grace of God Incorporated. And this was the former home of Radio Disney in Boston. 1280 WPKZ Fitchburg. WPKZ AM 1280 and 105.3 FM, the K-Zone. This is a news, talk, and sports hybrid with programming from Westwood One, Fox Sports Radio, Premier Radio Networks, and they are also the Boston West affiliate for the Boston Red Sox. WPKZ is owned by K-Zone Media Group LLC and operates a translator in Fitchburg on 101.3 W287BT. 1300 is WJDA Quincy. WJDA 1300 AM, which is a religious/ethnic station owned by Real Media Group LLC. 1310 WORC AM, Worcester, Massachusetts. La Mega 106.1, the force that moves you. This is a Spanish tropical station owned by Goes Broadcasting LLC with a translator station in Worcester at 106.1 W291 dB. 1330 WRCA, Watertown, Bloomberg 106.1. They air financial news with programming from Bloomberg Radio and news updates from Westwood One News. WRCA is owned by the Beasley Broadcast Group and is repeated on WNBP 1450 AM in Newburyport, Massachusetts. They operate 2 FM translator stations, one in Newburyport one in Newburyport, W291CC, the other in Boston being W291CZ, both on 106.1 FM. This station is also repeated on WBOS 92.9 HD2 in Brookline. 1340 WGAW Gardner, WGAW1340.com. Local News Talk. This is a news talk station with news updates from ABC News and programming from Westwood One and Premier Radio Networks. It is currently owned by Stephen Wendell. 1360 WLYN, Lynn, Massachusetts. It is an ethnic radio station owned by Multicultural Radio Broadcasting. 1390 WPLM AM, Plymouth. Easy 99.1, Feel Good Favorites. This is an adult contemporary station which is owned by Plymouth Rock Broadcasting Company Incorporated. It is the AM simulcast of WPLM FM 99.1, also licensed to Plymouth. 1400 WLLH, Lowell and Lawrence, Massachusetts. La Mega 95.1. Have to listen to. That's their slogan translated in English. This is another Spanish tropical station owned by Goes Broadcasting Boston, LLC. They operate a translator station in Lowell at 95.1 W236CU. 1410 is WZBR Dedham, The Urban Heat. This is an urban adult contemporary station from Wenger Broadcasting Group, LLC. They operate a translator station in Medford at 98.1 W251CR. 1430 WKOX Everett, Rumba 1430. Latin hits and more variety. That's their slogan translated in English. This is a Spanish hit station, for now anyway, which is currently owned by Ocean Station Trust LLC, but a sale is pending to the Delmarva Educational Association. So this may not be a Spanish hit station for long. 1440 is WVEI Worcester. Sports Radio 1440 WEEI AM Worcester. This is a sports formatted station with national programming from ESPN Radio and Westwood One, and is part of the WEEI Sports Radio Network. WVEI is owned by Entercom. 1450 is WNBP Newburyport. Bloomberg 106.1. Business news from Bloomberg Radio and news updates from Westwood One News. WNBP is owned by Bloomberg LP and is simulcast on WRCA 1330 AM Watertown. Repeated on WBOS 92.9 HD2 Brookline, and is also repeated on translator stations W291CZ Boston and W291CC Newburyport, both on 106.1 FM. 1460 is WBMS Brockton, 101.1 FM, AM 1460 WBMS, the voice of Brockton and Metro South. This is an adult contemporary station owned by Marshfield Broadcasting Company. This station is simulcast on WATD 95.9 FM in Marshfield. 1470 WAZN Watertown. This is a Chinese station owned by Multicultural Radio Broadcasting. 1490 WCCM Haverhill, Massachusetts. Impacto 1490. This is a Spanish news and talk station owned by Costa Empire Radio Ventures LP. They operate a translator, in Haverhill on 103.7 W279DH. 1510, this station has since recently launched WMEX Quincy, with the WMEX call sign has been on this station for many, many years. They're known as 1510 WMEX, the greatest hits. Wikipedia lists them as a full-service oldies radio station, currently owned by Marshfield Broadcasting Company Incorporated. 1530 is WVBF Middleborough Center, AM 1530 WVBF, hometown talk radio. This is a news talk and radio reading service with programming from IRN, USA Radio News, and the Massachusetts Radio Network. They are owned by MRP Communications and Consulting, LLC, and is ran by Massachusetts Senator Mark R. Pacheco. There is a station in Houston that airs conservative talk that is also run by a Texas politician. So it's not uncommon for politicians to own radio stations in some areas. 1550 is WNTN, Cambridge. 1550 WNTN. This is a community ethnic radio station. Their slogan is Global Echoes. They are owned by Delta Communications, LLC. 1570 WUBG, Methuen, Massachusetts. Positive and Encouraging K-Love. This is a contemporary Christian station from EMF with an FM translator station in Methuen on 105.3 W287CW. WUNR, Brookline on 1600. WUNR 1600 AM. Radio International, One World, One Station. This is an ethnic radio station owned by Champion Broadcasting System Incorporated. And that is it for the AM side of the dial. Now let's go to the FM side, starting with the non-commercial band. 88.1 Channel 201 has a pair of stations. The first is WCHC, Worcester, Massachusetts. WCHC, Worcester's only alternative music station. This is a college station, as Wikipedia has them written down as, owned by the College of the Holy Cross. The other station on 88.1 broadcast to the immediate Boston area is WMBR Cambridge. First on your FM dial. This is a student-run freeform radio station owned by Technology Broadcasting Corporation, which is part of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT. 88.3 Channel 202 is WGAO, Franklin, Power 88. They play both alternative rock and classic rock, and is owned by Dean Cortese. 88.5 Channel 203, WRRS, Middleborough Center. They're listed as a radio drama radio station and was previously a reading service for the blind. Ironically, this station is owned by Talking Information Center Incorporated. They, of course, had the previous reading service format on this station. 88.9 Channel 205 in high definition is WERS Boston. 88.9 WERS Boston's Music Discovery. FM analog and HD1 is Eclectic / Adult Album Alternative. Then on HD2 is a 24/7 show tune station known as Standing Room Only. WERS, of course, is owned by Emerson College. And they operate a pair of translator stations. One in New Bedford at 96.5 W243BG. The other in Gloucester at 101.5 W260 AM. 89.3 89.3, channel 207 is WQPH Shirley. 89.3 WQPH Eternal Life Radio. This is a Catholic station with programming from EWTN Radio, owned by Prayers for Life Incorporated. 89.7, channel 209, broadcasting in high definition, is one of the more recognizable stations in Boston, and that's WGBH Boston. 89.7 WGBH, Boston's local NPR, also known as Boston Public Radio. FM analog and HD1 is public radio with programming from NPR, Public Radio International, and American Public Media, and news updates from NPR. HD2 is the classical music simulcast of sister station WCRB. More on that station later. And then on HD3 is public radio, a simulcast of WCAI in Woods Hole, Massachusetts. WGBH FM is the flagship radio property of the WGBH Educational Foundation, which also owns WCRB 99.5 FM and public television stations WGBH TV Channel 2 and WGBX TV Channel 44. They also own WGBY Channel 57 in Springfield, Massachusetts. WGBH is repeated on WCAI 90.1 FM, Woods Hole, Massachusetts, that airs to the Cape Cod area. Also on WNAN 91.1 Nantucket and WZAI 94.3 in Brewster. 90.1 channel 211 has a pair of stations. The first is WJXP Fitchburg. Renew FM, be renewed is their slogan. WJXP is currently silent. It did air a Christian format and was the flagship station of Renew FM, owned by Horizon Christian Fellowship. The other station on 91.1 is in operation, and that's WYQQ. Let me read this real quick. Charlton. WYQQ Charlton, Massachusetts. The Q90.1. Your local choice for hope and encouragement. This is a Christian CHR station owned by Epic Light Network Incorporated. This station is simulcast on WSJQ 91.5, Pascong, Rhode Island. Alright, 90.3, channel 212 is WZBC Newton. WZBC 90.3 FM. Boston College Radio. This is an alternative rock radio station owned by Boston College. 90.5, channel 213 has a pair of stations. The first station does not broadcast in high definition. That's WSMA Scituate, Massachusetts. SCITUATE. CSN International, where God's Word is heard. This is a Christian radio station owned, of course, by Charlton Broadcasting of Idaho. Of course, CSN International is based out of Twin Falls, Idaho, on a station called KAWZ. And this is one of their stations. The other station in the Boston area on 91.1 90.5 also does broadcast in high definition, and that's WICN Worcester. 90.5 WICN. Jazz Plus for New England. FM and HD1 is Jazz and Public Radio, programming from NPR. They are owned by WICN Public Radio Incorporated. 91.1, Channel 216 is WRWX, Winchendon. Air 1, Worship Now, the worship station. This is a Christian worship station from EMF. Alright. 91.3, Channel 217 has a pair of stations. One is WCUW Worcester. WCUW 91.3 FM, your radio alternative. This is a community radio station owned by WCUW Incorporated. Also on 91.3 is WDJM FM Framingham. I take that back. That's WDJH FM Framingham. The flip side of college radio. This is a student-run variety radio station from Framingham State University. 91.5, Channel 218 has a trio of stations. The first in alphabetical order is WBIM FM, Bridgewater, Massachusetts. 91.5 WBIM, the radio voice of Bridgewater State University. This is a campus radio / alternative rock station from Bridgewater State University. Next is WMFO Medford, Tufts Freeform Radio. This is a student-run freeform station from Tufts University. And the third station on 91.5 is WMLN FM Milton. WMLN FM 91.5 Curry College Radio. This is a student-run variety radio station with programming from Westwood One and AP Radio. They're owned by Curry College of Medford. 91.7 Channel 219 also has a trio of stations. There's WJWT Gardner, Massachusetts, and WTYN Lewisburg, Massachusetts. Both are known as Renew FM. Their slogan is Be Renewed. Both air a Christian radio format, and both are owned by Horizon Christian Fellowship. Also on 91.7 is WMWM Salem. WMWM 91.7 FM, Salem State University Radio. This is a student-run variety radio station from Salem State University. And then rounding out the traditional non-commercial band is 91.9 Channel 220, broadcasting in high definition. Another one of Boston's most recognizable stations, and that's WUMB FM Boston. WUMB Radio. They air Americana music, roots / blues / folk. So they are Americana / roots / blues / folk, and that's found on FM Analog and HD1 with no additional subchannels. WUMB FM is owned by the University of Massachusetts, Boston, with the license held by the University of Massachusetts. That's the main campus in nearby Elmhurst. WUMB FM also features programming from American Public Media and is repeated on the following 8 stations. Yes, you heard me. 8 stations. Repeats WUMB. They are WFPB AM 1170 Orleans, Massachusetts, which is a daytime only station. The rest of them are on FM and operate 24/7. There's also WBPR 91.9 FM Worcester, WFPB FM 91.9 Falmouth, WNEF 91.7 FM Newburyport, that airs to the North Shore, WUMG 91.7 FM Stowe, WUMT 91.7 FM Marshfield, WUMV 88.7 FM Milford, New Hampshire, and WUMZ 91.5 FM Gloucester, Massachusetts. Now to the commercial band on FM. Starting off with 92.5, channel 223, WXRV Andover. 92.5 The River, Boston's independent radio. This is a locally run adult album alternative station, which is owned by Northeast Broadcasting. WXRV operates one translator station in Needham at 96.5 W243 DC. And they operate 5 repeaters, all on 92.5 FM. There's WXRV FM1 Framingham, WXRV FM2 Dover, that's Dover, Massachusetts, not Dover, Delaware. WXRV FM3 Newton, WXRV FM4, and WXRV FM5, both in Boston. 92.9, channel 225 in high definition is WBOS Brookline. Rock 92.9, the next generation of classic rock. This is one of 2 classic rockers in the Boston area, the other being WZLX. FM analog and HD1 is classic rock, and HD2 is the business news simulcast of WRCA and WNBP. WBOS is owned by Beasley Broadcast Group. 93.7, channel 229 in high definition is WEEI-FM Lawrence. Sports Radio 93.7 WEEI-FM, the home of the Boston sports fan. FM Analog HD1 is sports. They are the Boston affiliate of CBS Sports Radio. They do also air some programming from ESPN Radio. They're also the home of Westwood One Sports. So that means the NFL on Westwood One, the NCAA tournament, the Masters, all of that's heard right here on WEEI-FM. They also have programming from Compass Media Networks, and they are the Boston affiliate of NASCAR with races from the Motor Racing Network. WEEI-FM is the radio flagship station of the Boston Red Sox. This station is owned by Entercom, and they are simulcast on what is called the WEEI Sports Radio Network, which airs on 9 radio stations across New England. And they are as follows: WEII 96.3 FM, Dennis, Massachusetts; WWEI 105.5 FM, East Hampton; WVEI AM 1440, Worcester; WZEI 101.5 FM, Meredith, New Hampshire; WEEY 93.5 FM, Swansea, New Hampshire; WPEI 95.9 FM Saco, Maine, WPPI 95.5 FM Topsham, Maine, both airing to the Portland, Maine area. WVEI FM 103.7 Westerly, Rhode Island. That's in the Providence area. And WRCH 100.5 FM HD3 New Britain, Connecticut, serving the Hartford area. Yeah, that's a pretty big network. 9 stations. Alright, 94.5, channel 233 in high definition is WJMN Boston. Jammin' 94.5, Boston's #1 for hip hop. FM analog and HD1 is Rhythmic CHR. HD2 is Soft Adult Contemporary as The Breeze. They are owned by iHeartMedia. 95.1, channel 236. WXRB, Dudley, Massachusetts. The Golden 95.1, the station that doesn't always play it first! Exclamation point on the end. They play 50s, 60s, and 70s hits, and they are owned by WXRB FM Educational Broadcasting Incorporated. 95.3, channel 237. WHRB, Cambridge. WHRB 95.3 FM. This is a student-run variety radio station owned by Harvard Radio Broadcasting Company Incorporated. So pretty much Harvard University owns the station. 95.9, channel 240. WATD FM, Marshfield. 95.9 WATD, the South Shores radio station. This is an adult contemporary station with news updates from AP Radio. They're owned by locally based Marshfield Broadcasting Company Incorporated and is simulcast on WBMS 1460 AM Brockton and relayed on translator W266DA 101.1 FM Brockton. 96.1, channel 241 in high definition is WSRS Worcester. 96.1 SRS. Today's variety. FM analog and HD1 is adult contemporary. HD2 is 80s hits. WSRS is owned by iHeartMedia. 96.9, channel 245 in high definition is WBQT Boston. Hot 96.9, Boston's new #1 for throwbacks and the best new hip-hop and R&B. FM HD1 is Rhythmic Hot AC. HD2 is Urban Contemporary. Of course, the main channel is more of a classic hip-hop leaning urban station, but they do play some of the currents on Hot 96.9. The HD2 station, which is Urban Contemporary, they're known as 96.9 The Vibe, which they kind of stole that branding from Cumulus Media, which they use on their classic hip hop stations. WBQT is owned by Beasley Broadcast Group. 97.7, channel 249 high definition is WKAF Brockton. 97.7 The Beat of Boston. FM analog and HD1 is Rhythmic Classic Hits with no additional subchannels. They're owned by iHeartMedia. 98.5, channel 253 in high definition is WBZ FM Boston. 98.5 The Sports Hub, Boston's home for sports. This is the Boston affiliate of Fox Sports Radio, with additional programming from Premier Radio Networks, Compass Media Networks, and Sports USA. 98.5 The Sports Hub is also the radio flagship station of the New England Patriots, the Boston Celtics, the Boston Bruins, and the New England Revolution. WBZ-FM is owned by Beasley Broadcast Group. 98.9 Channel 255 is WORC-FM Webster. 98.9 Nash Icon. This is a country music station from Cumulus. 99.1 Channel 256 WPLM-FM Plymouth. Easy 99.1. Feel Good Favorites. This is an adult contemporary station owned by Plymouth Rock Broadcasting Company and is simulcast on WPLM AM 1390 Plymouth. 99.5 Channel 258 Broadcasting in High Definition is another one of Boston's most successful radio stations, and that's WCRB, Lowell, Massachusetts. Classical Radio Boston, 99.5 WCRB. FM Analog and HD1 is classical music with no additional subchannels. WCRB is owned by the WGBH Educational Foundation and is repeated on WGBH FM 89.7 HD2 Boston, WCAI 90.1 HD2 Woods Hole, and WJMF 88.7 FM in Smithfield, Rhode Island, in the Providence area, which is currently owned by Bryant University. 99.9 Channel 260 WKMY Ethel, Massachusetts. Positive, encouraging K-Love. This is a contemporary Christian station from EMF. 100.1 Channel 261 has a pair of stations. The first is a college-run station, that's WBRS Waltham. WBRS 100.1 FM, something for everyone. This is a student-run variety station owned by Brandeis University. The other has a commercial license from the FCC, and that's WWFX Southbridge. This airs to the Worcester area. The Pick, or not the Pick, but rather the Pike 100 FM, Worcester's #1 for classic hits. So this is a classic hits station, but it has a classic rock lean to it. This is also the Worcester affiliate for New England Patriots football. They're owned by Cumulus. 100.7 Channel 264 in high definition is WZLX Boston. 100.7 WZLX Boston's classic rock. FM and HD1 is classic rock. HD2 is the simulcast of WRKO 680, which airs a talk radio format. And then HD3 is K-Love, contemporary Christian music. WZLX, owned by iHeartMedia, also has programming from Premier Radio Networks. 101.3 Channel 267 is WMRC Milford, which technically airs on 1490 AM, but the 101.3 position is for the translator, which I'll get into shortly. This station is known as MyFM 101.3, today's WMRC. They air a classic hits format as well as Boston Red Sox baseball, Boston Bruins hockey, and programming by Westwood One. They're owned by MyFM Media, and then the translator station in Milford is at 101.3 W267 CD. 101.7 channel 269 in high definition. WBWL Lynn, Massachusetts. 1017 The Bull, Boston's #1 for new country. FM analog and HD1 is country music. HD2 is dance and EDM as Pride Radio. They're owned by iHeartMedia. And then just a few clicks up the dial from them is 102.5 channel 273, also broadcasting in high definition, and 1017 The Bull's biggest competition, and that's WKLB FM, Waltham, Country 102.5, Boston's hottest country. So yeah, in Boston, the two country music stations are right next to each other. FM analog and HD1 is country music. HD2 is new country. They also air programming from Westwood One. WKLB FM is owned by Beasley Broadcast Group. 103.3 channel 277 in high definition has just recently gone through a call sign change and a format change. This station is now known as WBGB Boston, Big 103, Music Unleashed. FM analog and HD1 is now in adult hits format, replacing the old Top 40 CHR format as 103.3 amp radio and the call sign WODS. HD2 is LGBTQ talk, dance, and EDM as Channel Q. And then HD3 is soft adult contemporary. I'm assuming that's the Cove. That's what they've been calling that station. WBGB is owned by Entercom, and prior to Amp Radio's arrival in Beantown in 2012, 103.3, which was then known as WODS, ran an oldies format for almost 25 years. They began it on October 7th, 1987, and then the formats flipped to the old Top 40 CHR on June 27, 2012, and that lasted about 8 years before switching again to its current Big 103. That's not the only major station in Boston that has switched formats after having one successful format before that. Our next station also went for the same thing. 104.1 channel 281, broadcasting in high definition. That's WWBX Boston. Mix 104.1, Boston's best variety. FM analog and HD1 is hot adult contemporary. HD2 is the active rock format known as WAAF, which previously was a standalone station at 107.3 until Entercom sold the station to EMF in February of this year. More on that in a second. HD3 is labeled as new CHR. WWBX is owned by Entercom, and this was the former home of a legendary rock station in Boston, WBCN, The Rock of Boston. Held their rock format from 1968 to 2009. That's when they flipped to its current Top 40 / Hot AC format. 104.5 channel 283 is WXLO Fitchburg. 104.5 XLO, New England's best variety. This is a hot AC with programming from Westwood One, which is owned by Cumulus. 104.9 channel 285 is WBOQ Gloucester. North Shore 104.9. Keep It Local Radio. This is an adult contemporary station with programming from Westwood One, owned by Westport Communications limited partnership. There's also another station on 104.9, that's WRBB Boston. WRBB 104.9 FM. We dare you to listen. This is a student-run variety station from Northeastern University. 105.7, channel 289 in high definition. In fact, these final four stations are all in high definition. 105.7, channel 289 is WROR FM Framingham. 105.7 WROR, 80s and more. FM and HD1 is classic hits with no additional subchannels. This station is owned by Beasley Broadcast Group. 106.7, channel 294 in high definition is WMJX Boston. Magic 106.7. Today's hits, yesterday's favorites. FM analog and HD1 is adult contemporary music and Christmas music during the holidays. HD2 airs 24/7 Christmas music and then flips to the adult contemporary format when the main channel switches to Christmas. Makes sense? Does to me. WMJX is owned by Intercom. Last page, last two stations. 107.3, channel 297 in high definition is WKVB Westboro. Positive, encouraging K-Love. FM analog and HD1 is contemporary Christian. HD2 is their sister network, Air 1, which airs Christian worship music. WKVB is now owned by EMF, and this was the former home of rock station WAAF, which aired a rock format for close to a half a century. They began playing rock music on 107.3 back on March 16th, 1970, and then officially flipped to contemporary Christian music on February 22nd, 2020. Just 4 days after former owner Intercom sold WAAF to EMF. So that's two major rock stations in Boston of note. And I think there was another one that also went away. I'll have to read up on that too. Our final station is 107.9, channel 300, also in high definition. That's WXKS FM Medford. Kiss 108, Boston's #1 hit music station. FM analog HD1 is Top 40 CHR. And then HD2 is the news talk simulcast of WBZ News Radio 1030. Kiss 108 is owned by iHeartMedia. And again, I did not include the stations from Cape Cod. Those will be coming in a separate video real soon. So those are the stations in the immediate Boston area. Like I said, the Cape Cod area is coming. All right. My next city that I'll be doing is Cincinnati, Ohio. I'll be getting on that in the next few days. We'll also be doing Baltimore, Seattle, Tacoma, Nashville, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. And I look to have all of these markets knocked out within the next week and a half or so. So stay tuned for all of those. In the meantime, this is Big Al signing off. Good night.